a part of the budget. On project budgets. I'm not going to do that today, but you're welcome to read through it, because the whole management of your research contract is a process from the proposal start and the budgeting and the contract. So it all fits together. But I'm going to concentrate only on the page, I think it's 567 or 678, that refers to financial reporting. So where I'm going to start is that you have already now have your project in place and it's running. You signed a contract with the funder, and in the funder's contract, or the agreement that you have with the funder, is a possibility that they require financial reporting. So it is very important that when you sign that agreement with your funder, that you make sure what is required in terms of financial reporting. Make a note in your diary for deadlines for reporting, and to make sure that it reach finance way in time, so that we can check and prepare that what is needed for sign off on the financial reporting. So I'm going to skip the first slides, which is more towards the planning and the budgeting basics. You're welcome to read through it. If you want to ask some questions about it, please email me. I'll help wherever I can if there's something that you are not sure of. Okay, so financial reporting, you are now at a point where the funder requires reporting, and you will ask finance to help you. We have project accountants at DRD and finance who are there to help you. New appointed project accountants in my place, and they report to me. It is Invoicing and Malaysia. But I'll details. I think at the end of the slides, there's details for Invoicing already. Marisha started on Thursday, so she's still new, and I will add a name to the presentation notes. So the first thing that you need to know when you close your agreement with the funder is that make sure you have a new cost center for your funds. It is very important that we have no mixing of funds between cost center or between funders. It's your cost center is your bank account. It's your bank account with that specific funder's money that you have to manage. And the only way that you can manage that well is if you have a separate cost center for each project with the funds of that project funder. So please, it is part of the research policy that you need to create a new cost center and have no mixing of different funders' money. What makes it then easier if you have the cost center is that in that cost center, you will reflect all the income and all the expenses relating to the specific project of yours. So I don't want to see payments going out from another cost center because there was not money in this cost center. There's ways to overcome that. So make sure that if you need to do payments on the specific cost project, is that you do the payment out of the correct cost center. If you do not have enough funds for whatever reason, because we have funders that we work on a spend and claim basis, so normally there's not any startup funds in the cost center, apply for a facility through the faculty, or make a bridging loan from another cost center where there's available funds in the faculty or in the department, something that you can discuss with your HOD. So there's ways to go around that to make sure that from the start you have your expense from the correct cost center. And what is important on that is then then it will be reflected in the correct time period also. So the moment when you pay it out of another cost center and you still need to do reallocations with the journal, and it falls outside of a reporting period, it will create a problem at finance. So it's important, all transactions, income expenses relating to the cost center to appear in the project's cost center. When you do invoicing, so that's on the income side, make sure that you use the correct income account. The income account affects the ICRR, so the indirect cost. It also affects VAT when it's local funding. So make sure that you use the correct account number. If you need to invoice, for instance, for bursaries has a specific account number, 5387. When you use that account, it does not attract VAT and it does not attract indirect cost. So then there's no need then for any corrections on that if you use the correct account number. When you issue the invoice, make sure that on the invoice description, and I must mention that this is now in our current financial system that we still have. We are busy with the cut over to the new one in the next 6 weeks. So things will change from now on. But for now, this is how we work. The detail on your invoice must be very clear. I want to see a contract number, if applicable, the S number that's allocated to your research contract by DRD. I want to see the time period that you are invoicing. So are you invoicing for a spend and claim time period in the past, or are you invoicing for the next year of the project? Why it is important is because when we do the annual financial statements of the university, we need to report in terms of IFRS standards, and if we receive any funds in advance, it must be allocated as such. And I can only do that if I see the necessary information on the invoice itself. Otherwise, I need to go back to the contract, I need to ask the researcher, and it's a lot of time wasting to do that. Yeah, as I said, in this case, if it's a spend and claim, remember, there's the option of a bridging loan between cost centers. There's an option to apply for facilities where you need the dean's approval in terms of a contract that's already in place. Also, an important thing to follow is obviously your financial policies that's applicable on all income and expenses. The financial policies are available on the website. If you're not sure about something, please ask. And especially where you need some pre-approvals for payments, make sure that you do it before the payment is done and not afterwards. Reporting date, I've mentioned that is important to set a reminder that you do your reporting in time to the funder. Okay. The reason why all of these that I've said now is important is that we need to adhere to certain statutory requirements overall. Even if we are now reporting on the specific project, this project fits in the whole of the university financial statements. So we need to adhere to IFRS standards. We do compilation of statistics for R&D or times higher education or Clarivate. You always see in the press where they listed the universities and say Stellenbosch University move up or down, or Wits move up or down. This is the statistics that we send them. So it is important that if we do it correct on our side, so what you put in this cost center is what comes out when I draw statistics for institutions like THE or Clarivate. So it is important to do it as correct and accurate possible. you will always see that when I do financial report, at the end, I will ask the researcher to verify or to give a statement that the transactions and allocations are correct, complete, accurate. It is important because then I know that the responsibility is with the researcher to give the correct and complete and accurate information towards the financial report. And so that that I can know, because I'm not involved in the project itself, that the data that I extract from the cost center is correct, and that you do a formal report on that. It's important because we have to do proper financial management of a project, and sometimes, and that is also one thing that you please need to check in your contract with the funder, whether they do require external audit. Remember, we as university are audited externally by EY, but sometimes a funder for a project will require an external audit. You need to inform finance way in advance that there might be an external audit required for a specific project. We need to know that. I think we send out in September or October each year a notification to researchers to inform us of any possible external audits of projects in the future, so that we need to put it on the auditor's audit list. Otherwise, there won't be any time to fit it in between all the others. And that can be a problem for the funder. It is obviously the contractual responsibility of the PI or the researcher to make sure that that he adheres to all the requirements in terms of the contract and in terms of what the funder wants. And yes, our institution, Stellenbosch University, credibility is on the line. If we don't do it proper, it does not reflect very nicely on us. Just what to do in short, again, when you have to compile a financial report or ask us to do financial report. So you will make sure that your cost center allocations and transactions are complete. So everything is posted into the relevant reporting period. Make sure what is the end date of the specific report period, and make sure that if you need to do any reallocations from other cost centers or journals or anything that needs to be included in the specific report, that it is done before that end date that you must report on. So in effect is, if I take the cost center and your report should be from 1 January to 31 December, I want to extract the data from 1 January to 31 December and take that as the financial report. Not, oh, this must be included from another cost center. Or I forgot to do the journal, and now the journal is in the next year, January, but it must be included. If you know before the time what your report in that is, you can make sure that all of your transactions appears in a specific reporting period. What is important also to mention is that, remember, we load orders for our payments to suppliers, and all the suppliers have certain terms of payment with the university. So it can be that the order is loaded before the end date of the report, but the payment is not done yet. But if the goods received is done before the end date of the report, then we can include that commitment, because a goods received can only be done when we have received the invoice. So the moment when we have received the invoice, we will know the exact amount of the order. Remember, when we do the order, sometimes it's on a quotation, and that is the reason why we never report on commitments, because a quotation will not be, or can be, that it is not the final invoice amount. So if you need to include some of the commitments, make sure that the goods received is done before the end date of the financial report. So we can go in, we can have a look. We normally, from finance side, we can go in and check when the goods received is done and whether we have the invoice. So it is possible for us to then include that specific amount. When finance is requested, or administration officer in your department, extract the list of transactions for the period. The allocations of the transactions must be done according to what your original budget to the funder was. So a budget normally has certain budget lines, things that you budget for. But remember, in your general ledger on the system, the payments go through on different account numbers. Some of the accounts will be grouped together to form the budget line in the original budget proposal. So we will extract the whole of the period's transactions, and you need to do the allocations of the transactions according to your budget. And from there, we compile a report that will look similar to the original budget that was proposed to the funder, or that was approved by the funder. And sometimes we will use our own normal, like an income expense statement. Sometimes the funder has his own template, and then we will use the funder's template to report on. Yeah, this can all be done by the project accountant. That's why we have project accountants. I must say, some researchers do it themselves. Some departments, financial administrator will do a report, whatever will suit you, but we have project accountants in DRD that can assist with that. Yeah, as I said, please allow enough time for finance to be able to check the report, or to compile the report, to check the report, to have it signed off. So finance have specific SLA with faculties, giving us a certain amount of days that we have to do financial report. So I think if we have to compile it all by itself, it's 15 days. If it's we only have to sign off on a already prepared report, it's 10 days. But make sure that you send us the information or the request way in time. Important, and I've seen that in the past, is that sometimes the department will compile the report and have it signed off by the HOD or by the researcher himself. It's not allowed. A financial report must be signed off by the institution's authorized signatory, which is the Renette Ace, who's the financial director. No, I think this is in short a summary. Sorry that I had to rush it a bit because of my time that I have, and I want to give a few minutes for questions. But it is just the straightforward part on the financial reporting where applicable. Yeah, if you have any questions, you're welcome to ask. No questions? Yes, Dr. Blignat.
Hi, sorry, I'm an early career researcher, so I'm a bit dumb when it comes to these things. We recently applied for funding. We haven't received anything or haven't been awarded anything, but it limited us to 15% cost to the university. So
Yes.
in the event that should the funding be allocated to us, would a cost point then be created? The money goes through the university, you automatically then take that 15%, and what is left over then I can manage from there, or how does it work?
Okay, so the ICRR, that is the indirect cost recovery rate of the university, is 20% on income. 20% on income equal to 25% on direct cost. So if you go and make that calculation, you will see it's the same. So the moment when the funding lands in your cost center, the university will take 20%. If you have an award or an agreement that is limited by the funder to 15%, in the contract stage already, we from the budget and the proposal and time of the signature of the contract, you need to apply formally for the reduction of the ICRR or the waiver, depending on limits by formal limits by funders. So not all of them have a limit on the ICRR, because obviously the ICRR, the indirect cost, is very important for the sustainability of our institution. But they do allow sometimes only a limited percentage. You have to formally apply. There's an application form for that. It's done in the contractual stages of your agreement already, and it's done through Ilse Griffiths, who will have to present it to FinCom for approval. And it's also I think the form makes provision where the dean has to sign that also. So to bring it back to your cost center, the moment when the funds arrive in your cost center, the university will take automatically 20%. If you have the approval then of the reduction of ICRR, at that stage, you send an email to Ilse Griffiths and say, we have approval of the reduction or the waiver, please correct the ICRR on the cost center. And she will do the necessary calculation and reversal. And what is then left on your cost center is what you have to available to spend on your project there.
Great, thank you so much. That really clarified it. I appreciate it.
Okay. I also want to mention, sorry, that in the budgeting stage, there's a full cost budget template available to use, and we recommend that you use that budget template. It already makes provision for the ICRR. It makes provision for VAT if applicable. Remember, you don't include VAT when it's foreign funding. You just delete in the formula on the VAT line. So it's only applicable on local funding. But that full cost template is already inclusive of the basic remuneration levels if it's applicable in budgeting for remuneration. So it's good to use that budget already in your proposal stages. But it is in any case from 1st of January compulsory to do full cost budget on all new projects. Next question.
Yes, good afternoon, Suzette. You mentioned that there should be no mixing of funds into the cost centers. And it sounded to me like you're referring to funds from different funders.
Yes.
Is it allowed then to mix funds of two different projects, but from the same funder?
No, if it's two different projects, please two different cost centers.
Okay, thank you.
If the two projects has nothing to do with each other, even if it's the same funder. So, for instance, we receive a lot of NIH funding, but all different projects. It's a different cost center for each project, please.
Okay, thank you.
Good. Any other questions? Okay, but if you are unsure of anything, please feel free to email me. I'll rather explain and try to what do you call it, to educate researchers, especially the newer researchers and early career researchers, to make sure that they do it the correct way, because it's the overall picture within the financial reporting of the university. We always say, remember, what you feed the system is what you get out from the system. So if you feed it not nicely, we won't get nice information from it. And at the end of the day, this is a reflection of how you financially manage your project. And unfortunately, it is as most important as doing the practical project at the end of the day, is to use the funds properly and to assure funders that we are worth receiving the funding that they give us. Okay, thank you very much for attending, and sorry that it had to be as quick today. Yeah, I also want to mention that I think in August we or DRD will have their bigger presentations 2 or 3 days in a row, but it will be online, where all the aspects within projects will be addressed. So it's like the ethics, the contractual stages, the project budgeting, all of that. So keep an eye out on the DRD communication for that. It's always very helpful to attend those sessions too. Thank you very much. I appreciate that you have attended this session.